This program is powered by AIM Employers Association and Ogletree Deacons, a Feature Group USA production.
Hello, everybody. I'm Phil Brandt, President and CEO of AIM Employers Association. According to a World Economic Forum report, 52% of employers say they are planning to reskill their teams to work alongside AI. At the same time, we find that analytical and critical thinking are two of the most important skills of the future. So here's the question. Are you training your team to simply keep up with technology or to think with it? All this and more on This Week at Work.
Welcome to This Week at Work, the only show to pack workplace news, practical HR solutions, and timely insights into every 30-minute episode. From the latest rulings in the courtroom to the strategies unfolding in the boardroom, and from real conversations taking place on the front lines to spotlighting what similar companies are doing about the challenges they face. This Week at Work brings you the conversations that matter most to HR professionals and business leaders like you. Brought to you by AIM Employers Association and Ogletree Deacons, live every Thursday morning. This is your opportunity to connect with their experts and ask your burning questions. So what's keeping you up at night? Let's face it together now on This Week at Work.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Burt, Garland, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Phil. We've been having a little bit of fun on the on the pregame here, so we probably want to let the audience in on what we've been chatting about.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a fun morning to get started. Let me introduce back to the program. Lauren Patel will be joining us today. Lauren is one of AIM's AI leaders. Good morning, Lauren. How are you today?
Good morning, doing quite well.
Yeah. So go ahead, Burt. You want to kind of break the ice on our pre-show banter that we've had?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about autonomous robots, and we'll talk about that just a little bit on Lawyer on the Clock. But Phil has let it be known that he's off the Neo bandwagon. Those of you who've been watching from week to week, Phil no longer wants a Neo, and there's Neo making an appearance on the show again, and.
Yep, wow.
Phil has decided he's going to hold out and wait just a little bit longer for Elon Musk's Optimus robot.
Right.
Phil, why are you waiting for Optimus?
Yeah, well, a few things. I just do some of the work and research that I've done. I think Optimus is going to be a significantly better, improved product than Neo. It will come pre-trained far better than Neo will be. And I think the updates and the longevity of that investment will be longer. So I'm going to wait and go with that. And I do understand it probably will be available yet this year or very, very early next year for pre-order. So at some point in 2026, I should have our AIM Optimus robot.
Phil, how do you plan to use your AIM Optimus robot during your non-working hours?
During my non-working, Optimus
assuming those exist. I mean, I know you work around the clock, but assuming
I
you have
appreciate you bringing that to everyone's attention because it does feel that way most of the time. But
when you have those odd hours off, what are you going to do with your Optimus?
Well, let's see. I would position it this way: so that I can work more, I can use Optimus during the non-commercial hours of AIM. The Monday through Friday hours. Around the house to mow the grass, shovel the snow in the winter time, to do the household chores that I get involved doing. I plan to do that. I can also lease out Optimus around the neighborhood for other chores and duties that people might have, or maybe just a companion to ride along the car with and have a quick chat. But I don't see Optimus sitting idle at any point other than to charge.
Now, you mentioned on pre-show that you almost could envision yourself having an army of Optimus, robots, literally just in your backyard, waiting for you to give it commands.
So this has been the conversation between my wife and I, and she wants nothing to do with the robot. Let's just be very clear. We're a complete opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm an early adopter, and she'll never get there with the
My
robot.
Bill, that's the same conversation in my house. I'd love to get a Neo right now, and my wife is like, "There's no way that thing's coming into my
Yeah.
house." So,
Yeah.
Lauren, Nick, can you put that picture of Optimus or Neo back up? Lauren, you just laid eyes on Neo for the first time. What was your comment?
My first thought was like this looked like a doll that my mom would have gotten me as a child that would have frightened me. And the second
Yeah.
thing was this is gonna get so dirty so quick. Like
Yeah.
I got lip lacquer on something I shouldn't have this week and it's never coming out. So with a 9-year-old at home and cosmetics, how are we gonna keep this clean? I think
Well,
that was my first thought.
and it kind of led to our conversation
Oh,
here,
look at that. Nicely done, Nick. Yeah,
which is
producer Nick.
yeah, look at that, Phil and Neo.
All I know is
What-
well, I hope we don't find any lacquer on any of those.
So we're talking pre-show, and Phil and his Neo right there, which is really pretty impressive, I have to admit. And I mentioned, Lauren, that Neo comes. First of all, Neo's outfit is washable, and you can get multiple outfits. And does that help?
And Neo will do its own laundry, so you don't have to wash it, but you may
Well,
have to help undress Neo.
Well, Phil, and that's where I think we're going here. Is that I assume Neo can undress itself and do its own laundry.
I know it can do its own laundry. I don't know about the undressing itself part, but I think we should keep the show professionally focused.
You want to talk about getting two Neos and having one Neo undress the other Neo
No.
for doing the laundry?
No, but I am in favor of having a fleet of Optimus robots for the purpose of leasing them to other people who, won't, one, be able to afford them, or two, haven't decided they're going to, buy and make that investment yet. So therefore, they'll be available for lease. I just line them up in the backyard, just tell them to stay put until called upon. Yeah.
If I come home and my wife has two Neos and they're undressing
Undressing
each
each
other,
other.
those things are out of the house. I'm joining
Yeah.
my wife.
And she's going with them. Yeah.
No, she could stay, but the Neos are definitely going.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. All right, Burt. Are you ready for a lawyer on the clock?
I'm ready, Phil.
All right. Nick, pull that lever.
Curious about a case that could wreck your workplace? Lucky for you, we have a lawyer on the clock.
Phil, we've talked about this case that the Eighth Circuit had been looking at. It was a Home Depot case, actually litigated by my firm successfully. And I want to do a little bit of a deep dive on Lawyer on the Clock for just a few minutes here on wearing clothing at work when there's a mandated uniform. And
Wait, are we back to robots talk and wearing clothing? Straighten us out here, Burt.
Nope, this is just employees, not Neos. Employees that are in the workplace, and there's a dress code in the workplace. And of course,
Okay.
Home Depot, they wear a shirt underneath their orange apron. In this case, stems out of what was going on in Minneapolis in the wake of George Floyd, and employees in the Minneapolis Home Depot had put Black Lives Matter, or BLM, on their aprons. And some employees in the Home Depot, one in particular up there, was told he needed to remove that from his uniform. He refused, and ultimately he was given the ultimatum that you either remove it or you can no longer work here, and he chose to no longer work at Home Depot. And what happened was the NLRB, of course, took that case and they ran with it. And the NLRB determined that Home Depot had run afoul of the employee's Section 7 rights to engage in protected concerted activity. And what's interesting is that this case, it caused a lot of concern in the workplace among us, among management and labor and employment lawyers, from the perspective of, number one, does an employer have a right to maintain a non-discriminatory uniform policy? to protect its image, among other things. And number two, was putting Black Lives Matter on the apron really protected concerted activity, or was it a political statement? Of course, in order for it to be protected concerted activity under Section 7 of the National Labor Relations Act, the employee has to be engaged in activity that relates to their terms and conditions of employment. And so there was a big question here about the NLRB's actions, because the question was really, does somebody putting Black Lives Matter on their apron really challenge the employee's terms and conditions of employment, or is it more of a political statement? The NLRB, of course, at the time under the Biden administration, ruled against Home Depot. Home Depot took the matter into court. They won at the district court level, and then just recently, last week, the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals, our own Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals that governs us here in Missouri. This case obviously came out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, but it's the same Court of Appeals, and they ruled in favor of Home Depot regarding its ban on the employee wearing a Black Lives Matter insignia on their apron. And what the court did was it reviewed what are what's known or as quote unquote special circumstances, whether special circumstances existed to justify the employer's dress code policy. That's really what the court was looking at here. And so the core issue in that case was whether an employee's display of Black Lives Matter message on their company required apron was considered protected concerted activity under the National Labor Relations Act, and if Home Depot's policy banning the message was actually lawful. The NLRB, like I said, initially found that Home Depot had violated the National Labor Relations Act. The Eighth Circuit vacated the NLRB's ruling and determined that special circumstances existed here. And this is what I want to focus on. The special circumstances that the Eighth Circuit relied on here was the fact that the store was located in Minneapolis, where the George Floyd incident took place. And I don't want to belittle what happened to him. I mean, he was killed. But it's the same city where that happened. And the court said that because of the civil unrest at the time, which included looting and store closures, that Home Depot's restriction was a reasonable business decision to preserve an apolitical public image, maintain order, and ensure employee and customer safety during a period of high tension. So the message was viewed as having at best an indirect relationship to specific workplace conditions, and therefore not protected under the National Labor Relations Act. And so, again, I think that this is a very significant case here, because the court did sort of rely on that special circumstances analysis and sort of left open the door that what if during the George Floyd protests, an employee at a Home Depot here in St. Louis put Black Lives Matter on their apron? Could Home Depot give that employee the same ultimatum? You either need to remove that insignia or you're going to have to leave your employment. And because the riots weren't happening in St. Louis at the time, the question remains a little bit open. Would those special circumstances have existed here in St. Louis? I still come down on the side that this was not protected concerted activity unless the employee could tie the Black Lives Matter insignia to their terms and conditions of employment. In other words, they have accused Home Depot, maybe along with other employees, to make it concerted activity. They've accused Home Depot of having racist policies, of discriminating against Black employees. And therefore, does the Black Lives Matter insignia mean that they're challenging race discrimination or racial harassment within the Home Depot store? If that's the case, it very well might be protected concerted activity. Or is it more of a political statement? So While the Eighth Circuit's case is helpful, I think, to employers giving some guidance, it is not the end all and be all. I still think that in situations where employees are putting non-sanctioned messages on their uniforms in the workplace, that those are going to be fact-specific analyses, and we need to evaluate those analyses in the context of what's going on in the world or at the store or in the city at the time the insignia appears.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting decision, and not necessarily one that, like you say, is going to be one that you can take just on the face value and say, oh, well, therefore you cannot, or therefore you can. It's still going to be circumstantial in how you make a decision going forward in a similar scenario.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then just yesterday, actually, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit heard oral arguments in a case that addresses the NLRB's prior ruling that found that Starbucks had violated laws by restricting workers from wearing union T-shirts and multiple union pins at its New York City Reserve Roastery Cafe. And in that case, really the central dispute is whether Starbucks dress code, which restricts logos, writings, or graphics on clothing, except for a small manufacturer's logo and company-provided items, unlawfully interferes with employees' right to display union insignia. So Starbucks is arguing that the policy is justified by its need to curate a specific apolitical public image and was evenly applied, and they emphasized the customer-facing roles that require a consistent brand experience. On the flip side, the NLRB is arguing that the employer has the burden to prove there's those special circumstances again, those special circumstances that would justify infringing on employees' right to wear union insignia, and that Starbucks, in their case, had failed to provide evidence of how the company's image would be affected by more than one pin. Now, the judges on the panel appeared to express skepticism regarding the NLRB's current standard for evaluating employer dress codes and seemed to agree that a store's specific vibe, quote unquote vibe, might justify limits on union apparel, suggesting a potential shift on how these cases might be decided in the Second Circuit. And I think that gets back to something we've talked about extensively on the program, which is Chevron deference. Yeah. So I think you might start to see a shift in the NLRB through the courts, no longer giving deference to NLRB positions when you have customer-facing roles and the employer wants to say that the customer cannot put anything else on the uniform other than things that are sanctioned by the company.
You know, this is a fantastic transition, Burt, because if you look at these scenarios and you look at the time and the money and the energy and the disruption and the loss of focus from what the business is trying to achieve, and you know, who knows really all the motives behind everything and what's happening. This is why just put a robot in the role. This is why you just put a robot in the role. It's going to take care of that. And you know, I laugh about that, but if I could have a robot do the same job that a human's going to do, and don't misunderstand me, like I worry about that, and I don't want, you know, people to be unemployed because of that. But I also know business leaders and owners who are going to be like, that just makes sense. I'm not going to have to worry about whether my button, my T-shirt is going to be compliance with my policy, and all these other factors too. And at some point, it just is. It's more disruption and negative attention than it's worth, and you'll revert to an Optimus. You'll say,
Phil,
I'll take 4 of those Optimus, please. Yeah.
Before we turn things over with Lauren here, I'm just going to make one comment. The way I understand you intend to use all of your Optimus robots You may face a unionization campaign by your Optimus robots, Phil.
Yeah, that could happen. If so, Bert, I'm going to call you. All right. Yeah, you're my guy if that happens.
I'm sending my Neo over to deal with your Optimus.
Yeah, and look at there. Nick's still having fun with the pictures. There you go. Hey,
before we transition,
that Optimus got me that drink as we went on our cruise together.
Well, I have one.
What did Angie have to say about that?
Before we transition, I have one more thing. I mean, you remember when Flare used to be much simpler, much more. This is from Office Space here. This is from Office Space, where remember there was the Flare was the important thing to have on your. If you had more Flare, you had more. I guess I don't know. It's been a while.
More personality. More personality.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. It's time to check in with the eyes and ears of AIM and everyone's favorite AI-driven advisor. Aaime, take it away.
All right. It's time to check in with the eyes and ears of AIM and everyone's favorite AI-driven HR advisor. Aaime, take it away.
Thanks, producer Nick. Here's what's happening at AIM this week and why it matters, according to Aaime. First, don't miss our upcoming payroll tax update session. Year end is creeping up fast, and with shifting state and federal rules, one wrong box or missed deadline can turn into a costly headache. This training gives your payroll and HR teams exactly what they need to avoid errors and stay compliant as we close out 2025. Second, today's episode dives into what we're calling double fluency, the blend of tech savvy and people skills that leaders need to thrive alongside AI that connects directly to our Principles of Leadership course, designed for experienced supervisors who want to deepen those human-centered leadership skills that AI just can't replace. So whether you're bracing for tax season or building better leaders, AIM has you covered with tools and training to make smarter business decisions. All right, so that's what's new, what's next, and what matters. All according to Aaime.
All right. Okay, Lauren, welcome back to the program. We're using some real interesting words around fluency and dual fluency and double fluency. Tell us what it is, what we're talking about when we hear that.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me back. When we're talking about dual fluency for this particular conversation, it's not about math skills particularly, or I'm doubly fluent in 2 languages. I wish I was, but I'm not. What we're really talking about is AI fluency and human fluency. So for that AI fluency, where we're hoping everybody gets to and where they'll need to get to is that they can work alongside AI comfortably. They can understand how to utilize AI, how to guide it, how to train it, how to question it, but ultimately how to apply what AI is doing for us. Sorry, go ahead, Phil.
No, go right ahead. You're finish up. I'm sorry. I get excited about this topic. Yes.
On the flip side of that, we have the human fluency. So this is where I think I've kind of nerded out this year and been listening to some really interesting voices from both an AI perspective, but also a human perspective. So as we're seeing this need rise of you need to be able to utilize AI, you need to be able to prompt, you need to understand it and apply it. You also need to maybe bring back some of those uniquely human skills into your skill set. Things like creative thinking, analytical thinking, empathy. And we talk about EQ all the time, but now we're seeing words come up like resilience, adaptability. I'm even seeing charisma as a skill that employers are sending their employees to train on. Like, how do you
Burt,
become
we're out of
more
trouble.
charismatic?
You and I are in trouble, Burt. She used the charisma word. We're done. We're done.
Phil, you need more flair on your uniform. Then you'll have charisma again.
Ric Flair? I hear Flair. I think Ric Flair. That's all right. Okay, Lauren.
Lauren's speechless. She's like, what are these guys doing?
Lauren sees and hears the program all the time, so she knew what she was in for when we invited her on the program. All right, so Lauren, when you've been on stage at the SHRM conferences, you've been all around the Midwest speaking and talking and working with our members on this particular topic. Tell me, what are you seeing and discovering as you're introducing these concepts to the workforce?
I think I always sit down with a mixed group of AI users. So I have people who are coming in and this is like their first foray into what AI is. It's still a scary black box. Then I have those who are using it daily. So when I speak to these rooms or sit down and have conversations, the first thing I notice is everybody's at a different spot in their journey. And we wrote a Shift Point article on this earlier in the year. It's kind of like the 5 stages of grief, where it seems really great, but now I'm concerned, but it could do these amazing things. But how do I actually do this? How do I make it through? So I think that from an AI perspective, so many of the things we have been seeing, we're still seeing. It's a lot of question, uncertainty, hype, excitement, but maybe not the deployment that we would expect from other tools we might have seen in the past. So a lot of times we're seeing like I'm using it, but I don't really want anybody to know that I'm using it. I don't want my boss to know that I'm using it. Or, it's been given to this specific group of employees, kind of like the way we used to do the internet, but not others. So there's a lot of gatekeeping, there's a lot of secrecy, but I think the focus has turned so quickly towards AI that we've forgotten that it's still humans who are working alongside it. We've forgotten that we need to work on our human characteristics that AI can't replicate alongside. So it's a duality of responsibility to our employee. It's a duality of skills, but it's also a duality of where am I spending my time and how am I fostering my personal growth, either in HR as a leader or as an employee.
So what are some of the things in your conversations that you think employers are getting wrong about their AI adoption, and what are some of the solutions that you would suggest they consider in that?
Yeah, so I think the first thought is, okay, I got you ChatGPT, I got you Gemini, I unlocked Copilot, go do stuff. And without training, guidance, even teaching people how to prompt, that's one of the first things I do in every course that I teach and most of the presentations I give is we need to talk about the fundamentals of prompting. So giving a tool without giving I would say like the training behind it is a first mistake that I see. And that just leads people to either take off on their own as an early adopter or stay really stagnant. The other thing that I see, and I kind of mentioned this before, was gatekeeping it. So a lot of thoughts of we'll just use it for these couple people and do a little beta test or a little pilot and see. And when we lock it down either by department or by use case, then we don't get the benefit of what it could do across an entire organization. We're just seeing it pocketed, which then leads to the backdoor secret. No one can use, like, know that I'm using AI, but everybody's using AI, but it's fragmented. It's not connected. So marketing's using something, sales is using something, ops is using something, HR is using Aaime Hart, and they're not talking to each other. And because they're scared to talk about it, it just kind of stays locked.
Yeah.
So I think that also probably Burt's going, well, that could be some concerns from us from a legal perspective of if everybody's doing their own thing behind closed doors, what could that lead to? So those would be the top challenges I think that we're seeing in the deployment of AI.
And
Lauren, you
talk
bring
to
up a
me.
really good point on the fragmentation and the legal concerns, and just to show how seriously my firm has taken this, we have a couple of AI products that are available to the attorneys, but we have some very, very strict policies on only using those AI products that are sanctioned by the firm. And most importantly around those is protecting the attorney-client privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And while we have these AI products, the information that we put into the AI products is only used in our environment. Theoretically, that information is not making it out into the learning models of the AI software algorithms or what have you. It's not learning from us more broadly than just within our own environment. Yet we can leverage what AI is learning elsewhere, so long as that information is also not protected. So it's very interesting. It's all around protecting the attorney-client privilege and the attorney work product.
Yeah, I think one of the questions I always prep for is, well, what do we have on this right now? What's the compliance related things I need
Yep.
to know, or what are the risks, or what can I put in, what can I not put in? For me, most of the work that I do for AIM is outward facing anyways. So the stuff that I'm working with, there's not a lot of concerns, but I do understand that need for the security to kind of lock it down and keep it almost like an intranet where it can't be accessible to the outside world and that it's not being used to train other models. So yep, another concern I hear often.
Yeah, and I've
So one,
always encouraged clients that are who are using AI. Uh, if you're going to use it, the company is not really developed policies and procedures for policing AI in the workplace. Make sure what you're putting out there is cleansed of identity, of people,
mhm.
companies. Just make sure that it's very generic what you're putting out there. The questions that you're asking or the information that you're feeding it can be very detailed. Just don't tie it to a specific person or entity.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that that's a really important part. And part of that then is, not just having the right policy that matches your organization. And every organization sits somewhere between, a high level of confidential, personal, private information to hardly any. So it isn't a one size fits all policy. But as you try to implement, um, this fluency, and you're trying to teach people how to use an AI product, Lauren, what are some of the things that employers can do? Put policy to the side for a minute, but what are the things that employers can do to help skill their humans to work alongside and with AI to become more efficient?
I think the first thing is you can't gatekeep. I have sat on many a webinar from lots of large companies who are really pushing forward in the forefront of AI within their organizations, and they almost have like AI boot camps. So they're saying by this date, we need 100 people fluent in prompting. We need 100% of our population to be utilizing this tool that we've said you can use. We're training you how to do it, and you're going to almost test out of prompting because that's where it's heading. It's going to be, we'll probably see prompting as a skill that people start putting on their resumes. It's in job descriptions. So not gatekeeping, providing the training, and make it something that is exciting and something that enhances what they do. Phil, I think you've done a really nice job of championing that here at AIM because it hasn't been a forced you must use AI. It's been, well, did you try AI? Did you try it with this? What else could we learn from this? What happens when we do it together? So we've led with very inclusive AI practices, not limiting or gate kept AI practices, and I think that's helped. But ultimately, you got to train your people. They need to know how to do it, just how we would send people to, my mom talks about the computer classes back in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
You got to send people and help them.
Yeah, it was funny because, I remember in those computer classes, like teaching someone what a mouse was and how to use a mouse.
Hmm.
And quite honestly, I think AI is far more intuitive than, our computers were. I mean, you can talk to it and you can just say, what do you need to know for me to do? And then it will walk you through a set of instructions. So it's really nice. But I do think there is the opportunity for employers to develop a culture that is embracing AI, where it can and how it can, depending on its business model and the confidentialities that it does have. But it does start with some early adopters and some successes and sharing those successes with other coworkers. Because what I've seen here at AIM is this contagiousness that not everybody was in it all at one time, and a little bit. And as they heard about it, they start thinking, oh, I wonder if I can use that for this over here. And then that becomes a question that they ask each other when they're having lunch or in a discussion together. And they're like, oh, yeah, that would be a good idea. Let me show you how. And then that starts to just become very contagious. And most of the things we're asking it to do are the things that we know aren't very efficiently done anyway. And it just helps the process and it helps my day be more efficient. And then I am not maybe as frustrated at the end of the day and I've done more. And it's a great way of getting more from the same or similar groups of people that have the same or similar challenges.
Yep, absolutely.
When you're working real quickly, what do you find to be? I know you talked about prompting, and I know that employers are all over the board in how they promote or give authorization to use AI. If there was one thing you would say to the audience that's listening, if you haven't used AI, do this thing. Do
Um,
this
if
first.
if you haven't used AI, try replacing your whatever search engine you like with an AI tool. And you can use whatever tool you want. If you want to use Perplexity or Grok or Gemini or whatever, use an AI tool for your basic search. The best way to do that, put reminders for yourself. Put a reminder on your phone, put a reminder, a little post-it note on your desktop or whatever it may be, so that you do that. I also know that people who are trying to get in the habit, if they've got dual monitors and they're working on their dual fluency, they'll keep an AI friend up on one of the screens. So it's always there all day long helping them to do that. So if you haven't done it yet, use an AI tool as a search replacement and just start there. From there, really anything. You got a question about what to cook for dinner or how to grade your kids' homework or whatever it may be, use it in your personal life. That'll help you too.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I would have had it to help my kids and grade their homework. That would have been a lot easier for me because I struggled with that. All right, Lauren, is there anything else you want to share before I ask Burt about the government shutdown? I can't believe we didn't talk about it reopening, Burt, but I don't want to end too early here, Lauren, if there's anything else you'd like to share.
I think just kind of back to the point about training. So we at AIM offer lots of different training options. We've got ChatGPT paths, which I'll be doing one of those in an hour and 30 minutes. So we'll be talking about employee evaluations and how AI can help you with that. And then we also have a co-pilot path. So if you're wondering where to start, you're already an AIM member, you've got a safe place to start, and we help guide you. We teach you how to prompt, and there's some different courses there. But again, just support and train your people. That would be my call out.
And if you're using Aaime Hart, you can just ask her what AIM programs would be suited well for you and the stage that you're in, and she will guide you right through it and help you enroll. So fantastic. Thank you very much for joining. Bert, are you still with us out there?
Phil, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but my
I
camera is
can.
frozen.
Yep. I can hear you, and now we can see you.
Oh, you can. All
So,
right. I can't
Bert,
see you.
I can't believe that we have forgotten about the government Rio. I mean, that's a big deal.
It is.
What do we know about it? Anything you want to add?
No, not particularly. Just I think that I've already gotten an email this morning from a judge at the National Labor Relations Board.
Okay, I think
cliffhanger,
Particular
teaser.
cases that we tried a little bit ago, and so the government is slowly reopening. I would expect the federal agencies to start getting busy and trying to get through some of their backlog that's been created over the past 40 days.
Yeah, well, let's hope we don't go back into this in the next short near term here when this whole issue presents itself again. Um, all right, Lauren, thank you very much for joining us. Bert, thank you for a great topic and some good laughs there. We do want to get into maybe next week talking a little bit about if you did have an Optimus or a Neo robot, what are some of the legal concerns that we need to be concerned with? Because I know there are issues out there that we're not thinking about as this is going to create a whole new set of standards and rules that we're going to need to follow carefully in the workplace. But until then, let's go out and be good to someone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you once again for tuning in to This Week at Work. If you enjoy the show, please like it, share it, and make sure it's on your calendar every week. Ask your burning questions anytime and let us know what topics you'd like us to cover. Just go to hrask.org and be sure to leave a review wherever you catch our show to help other HR pros find us as well. We'll see you next week when we discuss what's happening this week at work.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the pictures that Tim sent me for the pre-show program, just hold on 1 minute. You got to see this. I don't know what he was thinking, and he's over there listening.